Recon Athlete Podcast is brought to you by Kreitz Market, The Social, and Focus Fit San Marcos. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 80, 80. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Luceto be joining us a little bit later. Good morning, Mr. Paul Rodriguez. How are you today, sir?
Oh man, I am doing fantastic. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. Got some chores done yesterday on my lunch break, feeling ultra productive on a Friday, so that was good news. Had a little conversation with Mr. Snoop Daniels over on at the Horn and Flex Radio, bro. So it was good times, and I slept in a little bit today, so I was good to feel a little bit more rested and energized for this morning, man. But how are you, brother? I see you bringing in that new mix on the intro, and I'm digging it. I really like it.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a little story about that music that we played in a little bit before the Corona siren, of course. So every episode, I've got the little number of the episode, on our screen. Now that we have our fake fans, I've moved the number over to next to the Kreitz Market. Shout out to Kreitz Market, our feature sponsor. Or the number of the episode is so every episode I always just Google the number 80, right? So I go to Google, I just put 80 and I hit enter. So this time, if y'all want to do this at home, you can do this. Just Google 80, hit enter, and there was 80s Euro mix YouTube videos that came up. And so I was like, oh, because usually if you do if you do just do 79 or 78, and usually the numbers will come up different little numbers. Well, this time I put 80. And it was 80s Euro dance or 80s techno or something like that. So I thought that I take that as a sign. I always take everything for some reason. Me personally, I don't think that things happen for no reason, Paul. I think things happen for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Even though this is maybe an algorithm, I just thought it was oh, okay, I need to play some Euro music, Euro dance music. I know Snoop Daniel probably liked it. And he also was on the watch party. Says happy 80th. Thank you, sir. So you were down with the Euro dance 80s style music, huh?
I mean, I was digging it for a little bit. That's actually ironic because I appreciate that type of irony because I kind of do the same things with our Instagram stories when we're, putting out that our shows are coming up. And so when I started it with 80 because 80 is kind of relative to, to us. I mean, yeah. I think you were born in 1980 and I was born in 1983. And so, with the 80s, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go look at what the top hits were. And I hate to break this to you, but there were a bunch of ballads and slow music in the 80s, in 1980. So I kept digging. And then, I kind of found the right song to play. I think it was Play That Funky Music. And that was kind of the theme song for the show leading up on our Instagram story. So that's pretty cool how, our musical paths are parallel. They don't seem to cross, but Euro and America, quite different, but still vibing with that.
Yeah, I'm sure Snoop probably went and Googled 80 and is probably jamming some of that techno music right now. All right, Recon Athlete, we're talking about episode 80 right now. We're going to get into some UIL guidelines that were put out by the University Interscholastic League yesterday, and we'll also talk some boxing. September is the date that Vasily High-Tech Lomachenko and Teofimo El Brooklyn Lopez want to meet in the ring. I think that's going to be a very exciting fight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, college football, losing a lot of money without fans. And, of course, for some reason, I don't know why. I mean, I guess I do know why. But we're going to talk Zoom dates. I haven't done a Zoom date, but, I wish the expert on Zoom dates was here. Maybe he will be here at some point. But first, Paul, you were, of course, joining Mr. Snoop Daniel last night on Flex ATX, Flex Radio, talking about the UIL guidelines a little bit. So let's go ahead and play that clip. And you also got into some recruiting as well. So let's get into that. Hold on one second.
What's up, Paul?
What it is, fam? You living good?
Living healthy. Washed a lot of hands. A lot of the places opened up today at 25%. I'm contemplating going out. I'll likely stay in, Paul, so we can cover. I need to make it at least to June 8th. You feel me?
Man, I'm tell you what, that big announcement, and then also the guidelines being dropped by the UIL today was pretty interesting. So we all know June 8th, the schools can start getting student athletes back in the mix for organized activities for athletes and the band, the music.
Yes.
Band players also are going to have their guidelines set out, but. I don't know if you had a chance to look through some of the risk mitigation that they've kind of had.
Tell me.
And man, well, I kind of just went down and broke down a little bit of what they had. And so they pretty much put out a risk mitigation for outdoors activities and indoor activities. And I started just kind of going through the bullet points, and I just said to myself, this is an off-season program. And I think that's why these factors were probably put into place. So, they're not going to let, if there's non-exercise times, everybody needs to be, 6 feet away from each other. And if there is exercise time, they can't be in groups of more than 15, 15 or less outdoors. And so I started thinking to myself, if I were coaches and if I were, individuals out there, I would start putting a plan together, which would probably imitate or simulate what they have in their off-season program. So, for the indoor risk mitigation, no more than 10 per group. So, the smart thing to do is we're going to have a circuit training probably going on for a lot of these schools. And during the off season, I think that's what the regimen is pretty much based on, is like we're going to do circuit training. And, depending how this rolls, probably Monday through Friday, and let the young men, get 2 days to rest and recover. And if you don't know, and I kind of just did a little bit of research, we need to get these young men into shape, and a lot of the elite athletes are in shape. But for 20 days to 25 days is really what we need. And you start looking at the calendar, June 8th, and you count 20 business days, Monday through Friday, that lands us on the Friday, July 3rd, the day before July 4th. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we see people getting in shape from the 8th to July 3rd, and then July 3rd moving forward, that following Monday. We start getting sports specific. We start getting, position specific. And it may even look, for some listeners out there, if you go to a football game prior to the game starting, when they're warming up, you may start seeing a lot of those drills after July or in the middle of July, when people start getting back, on par with their conditioning.
Yeah. So basically, the short breakdown is, if you go to a school like San Marcos or Lake Travis, you got that luxurious indoor facility, Del Valley, 10 per group. If you're like in Westlake, other schools, majority of schools, you're outside Crockett, down Slaughter Lane, South Austin, 15 max per group, correct?
That is right.
All right, okay. But, Paul, let's talk ATX recruiting, Recon Athlete, all on it. What's the latest?
Man, big kickoff. Culver Stockton College, man, they came in and started getting kids left and right. Speaking of Del Valley, they offered Anthony Mosquito, but it really got kicked off with Lake Travis's defensive end, Lucas Rudich. And he got that big offer from them. Brendan Jones, man, defensive end, LBJ, Houston Baptist, really big offer for him to start to get away from, the more of the military academies. But Lake Travis offensive lineman back in the mix, Nico Brown, picking up another offer this week from Wingate University. Just want to highlight and just want to shout out that man in Lampasas, Texas, Ace Whitehead, getting an offer from, UT Permian Basin. And just we'll stick with the quarterbacks. Seth Ford. I've been waiting for this young man to get an offer. UT Permian Basin.
Round Rock Dragons quarterback, for those who don't know Seth Ford.
Round Rock Dragons, right. Quarterback. Okay. And, man, I was really excited for him. But I think the highlight of the week, and we'll get more into the offers in the second half, the biggest offer this week was Tavier Dunlap, running back, Del Valle, getting an offer from Virginia. And then I think also another highlight was Andrew Makuba, the safety for the LBJ Jaguars, dropped his top 12. You know, schools like Arizona State, Texas, Auburn, Georgia, TCU, UCLA, Clemson, all over the map. Tons of big D1 schools. So great things happening for the young man in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and shout out to Ace Whitehead, because we asked on our Instagram story at FlexATX, FLXATX, what Austin area player would make the best reality show star. And he commented, well, it's the one that already has a documentary made about him, wink, wink. So Ace Whitehead, carrying the drip, talking a little swag on the social media, but big shout out to Land Passes. Them with LBJ dropping into that district, we're really going to get a big up and close with the Taylor Ducks, Land Passes Badgers, Fredericksburg Billies, Canyon Lake. It's going to be a fun deal. So, Paul, we'll talk to you again at 7:10. Where can they follow you on social media?
Well, you can get us at Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at Recon Athlete, across all socials. Appreciate it, Snoop.
All right, talk to you at 805, Paul. Quarantine. Flex ATX Radio, Snoop Daniel, Vaquero Hotline right now. One of the hottest.
All right, and shout out to Snoop Daniel and Flex ATX for getting us on, or getting Paul on every week. 7:05, you can hear Mr. Paul Rodriguez joining Mr. Snoop Daniel on Flex ATX, Flex Radio on 104.9 The Horn. And Paul, of course, shout out to all the kids that are getting these offers still pouring in, still rolling in. But those UIL guidelines, there was something, that, you talked about it with Snoop, but there was something else that you mentioned before we came on air about that you maybe wanted to discuss. And I thought it was kind of interesting myself.
Yeah, and that was kind of one thing I did not intend to leave out in that first interview, but I also want to get into some more offers after we conclude with this little conversation. The biggest thing that I took away was, the equipment's going to, of course, need to be sterilized. I think that's inherent. But what I kind of was reading
into
on,
Paul, sorry, man. Sorry. It was Zach calling, of course, late. Freaking Zach.
He calls in. He's always calling in when I'm talking.
Zach, man, why don't you call on time, man? Especially when Craig Way's watching.
Dang.
I mean, hold on.
Dang.
Shout out Craig. All right, Paul. You there?
I am here, yes.
All right, Zach.
What's up?
All right. So, Paul, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry, Zach interrupted you, but keep going. Zach, we're talking about the UIL guidelines that came out yesterday. Paul Rodriguez.
So, yes, one thing I didn't intend to leave out, but I kind of did, was the last bullet point in this risk mitigation for outdoor and indoor activities was that all equipment must be sterilized. And I think that's inherent. We all want to be sensible about, sanitizing equipment efforts being utilized during this pandemic. But the thing that stuck out to me was they identified balls and football or whatever kind of tool is going to be used, during the exercises, that needed to be sanitized. And it did not explicitly say after a practice, and it did not say during a practice, but what it said after every use. And I thought that was very key terminology, because once you use something, you need to sterilize it per those guidelines. And so to me, that was a clear indication that once a ball is thrown and caught, or once the ball is handled, I think that's kind of a better term, is once it's handled and it's no longer used, then that's going to need to be sterilized. So if a ball is thrown and caught, or if a ball is thrown or snapped, or any use of that tool, it's going to need to be sterilized. And so, we can also think about towels whenever you need to wipe down during practice, if you just need to dry off real quick. All of these tools are going to be immediately sanitized. And so I wouldn't be shocked, if we can see managers out there also keeping a safe distance, but taking this equipment and sanitize. There's probably going to need to be a coach, specifically handling these tools so that they can be safely, repurposed and utilized once, they have been used once, sanitized, and then put back in the mix for practice. So there's a lot going on, and I think the terminology is, it has to be, in lawyer talk, it has to be broken down so that, everybody is safe and, there's no potential lawsuits moving forward. But it's a great step to see moving forward, Chris and Zach, but this isn't the be all end all. This is just the first small step of many. And I have a good feeling the UIL will be in constant communication with coaches and coaching staff, probably on a weekly basis.
All right. So that's going to be interesting too, and, shout out to Coach Keller, just got onto the watch party, Manor ISD, and maybe I can get Coach Keller to call in maybe, next Wednesday or Saturday to talk about this, talk about the CDC guideline, or talk about the UIL guidelines and how they're going to, do things. Because, it's like you said, after each use, it's like, okay, so every time a quarterback throws the ball to a wide receiver during drills, then, a trainer's got to grab that ball and, wipe it down. I mean, I'm not sure. And this was something that Superfan BJ was called in on Wednesday and, told us about. He was like, look at those, he's talking about CDC. He's like, look at the CDC guidelines and tell me how, we're going to have fall sports. I mean, you're looking at these UIL guidelines. It's almost like you look at the UIL guidelines and, tell me how you're going to have an efficient practice and how you're going to be able to do anything without having to basically not throw things away, but just sterilize each thing. And especially like the towels, like you said. And I'm just not sure, how things are going to roll like that. But Zach, I mean, what is your take on all this? Things starting up for June 8th.
I think I'm curious. I mean, it was only a month ago that no one was allowed to do anything.
Right.
No option to do anything at all.
Right.
So I'm really curious that, I mean, they're setting June 8th as the start date when it pertains to all these new rules, but I wonder if things continue to flatten out and get better, if we don't see changes to these rules before something significant happens in terms of practice starting and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you look at all those guidelines and there's really no way, if you think about the language and the guidelines and things like that, there's no way for us to have practices as normal or camps as normal or games as normal. But I mean, it was, like I said, it was just a month ago that you couldn't even go outside. So by the time things get into full swing, I'm really curious if there's another change to the rules that make things more realistic to have practice and things like that.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Zach. I mean, I love that take, because I mean, you're right. You're completely right. 100% right. We were a month ago not able to go outside. Now we're talking about, getting practices started. So, we're approximately a couple of weeks away, from June 8th, and almost exactly 2 weeks away from Monday. It was gonna be 2 weeks from Monday, and to see where we're going to be at in 2 weeks. To see what's happening with COVID-19, where we are with testing, where we are with cases, where we are with hospitalizations, ventilator use, all that stuff. So let's say the curve stays flattened. There's no spikes, hopefully, Lord willing, there's no spikes in cases. Paul Rodriguez, do you think the UIL might make a change to this before June 8th, or do you think they would just kind of stick with this June 8th guidelines and then make changes after everybody starts to get going in practice?
It goes back to my previous statement, is that I think the UIL is going to be in weekly communication. I think there's going to be, I mean, where I work, I get emails throughout the day about COVID-19, and I have a feeling that the UIL is having the similar communication with the state of Texas, and then disseminating that to all the coaches in the UIL, and I'm pretty sure they're also TAPS, or all the private schools formerly TAPS. And so with that being said, I think the goal here is to be optimistic and to be sensible, and that's the key word. I don't. Some school school administrators have used the word common sense, and I don't think that's the right term. I think the proper term is to be sensible. Is to make sure that everybody is having a optimistic and cautious approach to these activities, because our end goal is to have athletic competition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't say athletic competition with fans, although that would be great. Our goal is to have a season that's, properly completed and conducted per UIL guidelines. And I understand that this is a cautious time, and this is maybe a little bit of a scary time, because we're transitioning back to a little bit of how things used to be. But I want everybody to kind of have an understanding that the UIL is going to make sure that everybody is safe as paramount. They're not going to put people in situations that are going to be, overly dangerous per any guidelines that are handed out by any government agency. And so I think Texas is leading the way in the nation. I think a lot of other states are looking at the state of Texas and how their approach to high school athletics and collegiate athletics, and learning from them. But I agree with Zach. I mean, it was a month ago where 2 months we couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. And now we're trying to have this, 2-3 week turnaround to have, organized practices at the high school level. With that being said, the student athletes have been training in small groups this whole time during COVID. Mm-hmm. But to me, there's nothing new. And if you don't know that or don't believe that, go check out Twitter and go check out social media and check out Flex ATX. And it's well documented that these young people are continuing to train in very sensible and practical and safe groups that they're doing it. And if they can do it on their own, I see no reason why adults can't oversee and manage organized practices at the high school level.
Yeah, and I'm going to message Coach Keller here, after the show, just to see if I can get an interview with them, because I kind of want to get the mindset of the coaches. That'd
be awesome, Chris.
I mean, I know they're really ready to go. I mean, I know mindset of coaches, because I work with them, with the school district, and coaches, they just want to get back to what they're what they're used to. Get back into the gym, get back into the weight room, get back out on the field, and get back to normal and get things rolling. I know they want to be safe. They want to keep their kids safe. It's always about the kids. The kids are number one with coaches. Every coach. Mm-hmm. The kids are always number one. So they want the kids to be safe, but they also want to get back to work, and I think, what they probably miss the most is being with the kids and coaching these kids and yep. Getting out there on the field and being able to, be that coach, that person that, a lot of these kids, they are looking up to. So I'll be interested to see if we can get an interview with Coach Keller here in the future. Zach Lucero, June 8th. That's also the day that Snoop Daniel said he's going to go out, try to go out since the bars are open. Is that any significance to you personally? Is that when you're going to go to the Domain finally?
No, I don't think so. Maybe like July or something.
July?
Like I said, I'm trying to wait for the first wave of people to go try these things.
Okay.
And then see how they turn out. But Chris, I think you made a good point about coaches wanting to get back to practicing and stuff. And I think a good testament to that is seeing all these releases of area team schedules.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's ultimately up to the coach or athletic director to release that information. So I think by them doing that and releasing these schedules of games with no changes to the dates is just kind of showing the optimism of the staff at that high school. I think, like, it comes to mind, Dripping Springs just released a schedule. Mm-hmm. So to me, that means the coaching staff and athletic director at Dripping Springs is like, hey, we're getting geared up to start this thing, and here's our schedule and when we're going to start it.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, and we've seen it. I saw Glenn put out their schedule. There's a lot of, like you said, Zach. There's a lot of schools that are putting out their schedules, and there's no changes on these dates. And the schools. I mean, the football is one thing, and the sports is one thing, but actually getting back into school, I think that's going to be a whole different aspect. Because, like Paul, like you said, I mean, you mentioned, lawyers, litigation, being sued. I, as a school district employee, I don't know who does it, but I am aware that it happens a lot, and unfortunately, you have some people out there that that is basically what they do. They're looking for reasons to sue somebody, and I think there would be people that will be looking for reasons to sue the school district and whoever they can, just to make a dollar. Unfortunately, that's the reality that we live in. I don't know if the state of Texas can do anything. I don't know if there's any kind of tort reform that can happen, but we're gonna have to live with this for now and to see where we're at. But June 8th, that's where we're gonna go. We're gonna see what's happening. I know Snoop was excited. He said he's gonna try to get out to somewhere. He said he's gonna be wearing a mask and stay away from everybody. But I don't know. I mean, Paul, would you? I'm not even gonna ask Paul, but I'll go ahead and ask. I mean, would you go out there on June 8th? To watch a practice if you were allowed to? I don't even coaches will allow anybody to go out there.
Yes. That's an easy question to answer.
Yes.
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 Chris, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you talked about this about alpha males in a couple of shows back, and it's one of those things where I enjoy competition and I enjoy high level competition at the high school level, and even at any high school, if you just get to see competition live, it's kind of like how people get at Jonesing for, oh, I want to see live music, let's go to Austin. And it's kind of that same concept where I appreciate what these coaches and young people have done as a sacrifice, because that's really what it is. I mean, you don't have to be out in the heat and the sand and getting gritty and dirty training. You don't have to be out there pushing 2-ton vehicles trying to get a stronger lower body to be more explosive. You're not out there running hills to have a better time in the 40 or what have you, or to be faster. I mean, these people are sacrificing and investing in themselves to be better, to maybe earn a scholarship. But I think it's something that should be appreciated, and it's an easy question for me.
Zach Lucetto, Coach Sanders over at Vandegrift High, calls you and says, "Hey, Zach, we're going to be out there June 8th. Don't you come out and shoot some video? You rolling?"
Yeah, I mean, I'd go and I'd but I'd be safe about it. I mean, I probably wouldn't do many interviews. There'd probably be a lot of B-roll and things like that. But and I think at a time like this, if a coach reaches out to you, I think that shows a lot of trust in you as a member of the media. So I would definitely go.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Recon Athlete episode 80. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucetto. Shout out to Snoop Daniel. He's on the watch party. He says he is going to go, but he's going to be distant and safe as possible while trying to cover. So I think that's kind of what the sentiment is for everyone. But I'll be interested to know, what coaches will allow, media members to get out there and do things. But I think coaches want the coverage. They want that media coverage for their kids. So I don't think they're going to be, as stringent as we might think with the media. All right, let's go ahead and get into some of that recruiting news. Paul Rodriguez, you mentioned some on that interview with Snoop Daniel. What's some other ones that you want to mention?
So I do want to put out there, Recon Athlete does a really good job of covering the Austin schools, but we also do a really good job of starting to move into the San Antonio and Rio Grande Valley area. So I'm going to be mentioning some of those young men as well, just so our listeners have a heads up about that. And if you hear a name of a school that you don't know, I'll do my best to identify the location geographically. But we got into some of the offers from Lampasas. And let's just hop into offensive lineman from Robert Vela. That's the Rio Grande Valley. Picked up offer from Houston Baptist. And that's Mr. Andrew Alvarado, offensive line for Robert Vela. Backed up to Lampasas, John Long picked up offers from University of Texas Permian Basin and also Southern Arkansas University. So he'll be protected at Whitehead. Also want to shout out Rockdale receiver, a.k.a. the Glitch, Keyshawn Raven, picking it up from UNLV. That's a big 3-star recruit out of Rockdale. They also have a big 4-star running back, Cameron Valdez. Hasn't had any big offers, but he has a big leading offer from Arkansas right now. And then also just wanted to shout out the Lake Travis young man, Valparaiso coming in. I really butcher that name every time I say it. But receiver, Jackson Scruggs, picking up that offer from Valpo. And then also on the other side of the ball, defensive lineman, Raleigh Irwin, picking up an offer also from Valpo. So really cool to see the young Travis men getting the offer. And big 4-star quarterback out of Cornerstone High School. That's a private school in San Antonio. If you don't know his name, you will know it once he gets into college. Lucas Coley, an offer from Louisville. He's got offers from schools all over the map. I think him and the guys from Austin are communicating really well, possibly making a transfer or making a move to Virginia Tech. So that's on deck for them. Culver Stockton College, getting offered by the state championship offensive lineman. Aiden Kinnaird back on the map, Westlake Chaparral's offensive lineman. And then late yesterday, this was like an offer that came in right about 5 o'clock. Mr. Jaden Williams, defensive back for the Hendrickson Hawks, picking up an offer by Louisville, the Raging Cajuns. So that was really awesome to see. And that about rounded out the coverage, man. And I'm just excited to see these young people getting these offers. And just so y'all know, we're getting into San Antonio, Rio Grande Valley. So a lot of those Jetson kids, Schertz Clemens, Cibolo Steel, the big schools are named down there. And then Mission Sharyland, Sharyland Pioneer, that is. Mm-hmm. Of course, they have their big quarterback, Eddie Lee McGruber, who's already committed to the UTSA Roadrunner. So that's really cool for him. And we'll just see more offers coming out, man. There's another sleeper in the Rio Grande Valley I'll mention as soon as he gets another offer. But there's some talent down there, and we're going to be putting them on the map so they get that shine as well as the Austin kids.
All right, and shout out to all the kids that are getting these offers and making commitments and, just getting ready for this season and then, of course, their future after high school. And Zach Luceto, what was it, Thursday, you did an interview with Shaq Miller, and we put it on our YouTube page, and it's also on our Facebook page. So if you want to go check it out, it's out there. It's a really great interview. Zach, I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about that a little bit. Tell us about your buddy Shaq and about that interview a bit.
Yeah, so Shaq's a friend of mine. He's recently graduated from Incarnate Word, where he played football. He's from Lewisville, Texas, so in the DFW area. He basically landed at UIW as a walk-on. One of those guys, kind of like Tyler Herrick, if you listen to that interview, mm-hmm. that kind of knew his worth and knew for him that he was going to play Division I football. And if he didn't have an opportunity to play Division I football, then he would go a different route. So it was kind of D1 or bust in terms of football career. So he ended up walking on at Incarnate Word and earning a scholarship after his freshman year, and ending his career winning a conference championship and playing significant snaps and starting at kind of like slot corner defensive back for UIW. And I just think he's a really good testament to he did a lot of recruiting on his own, didn't have a lot of help from his coaches. But I think he's a really good testament, and he shares some good things in there about just kind of the confidence that he had to keep throughout everything, the mindset he had to keep throughout everything, to really get to the place that as a kid he grew up knowing he deserved to be at. So I think it's a good interview. It is like a full-length interview, so it's kind of long. But I think there's some good stuff in there. Yeah,
it's really great stuff. And, especially for those kids out there that, maybe undersized for their position. I think that's something that, we mentioned about Shaq Miller. He was a little bit undersized, and maybe that's why he was kind of, overlooked some. But he's overcame that, and then just through hard work and determination, was able to be, starting on a Division I football team. And shout out to him, and shout out to you, Zach. It was a really great interview. These interviews are out there, on our Facebook pages, on our YouTube channels. So go out there and check them out. Great interviews by Zach. And Zach, you got anybody else lined up yet?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to discuss it with you guys. Like if how football centric we want these to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely have a couple people through a bunch of sports that I have in mind. So
okay,
it's definitely something that I kind of want to continue doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. Paul, if it's sports, I mean, even outside of sports, I don't know. If it's something that you think that could be compelling, that would help people, just in general. I think I think that's something that Recon Athlete is all about. We're all about growing and helping people out, making sure that maybe if it's not growing on the football field or in the basketball court or wherever, it's growing in life. So we'll definitely take all of your content, Zach. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 80. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucero. I don't know if you've noticed, y'all, but I'm wearing my Casey Ramos, the Wizard shirt, Team Ramos. And that's because we're going to talk some boxing today. It came out earlier this week that Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez want to meet in September, for a championship fight, the lightweight division. Going to be a very, very good fight. I'm really excited about this. I know, Zach, you got into boxing a little bit. Do you know anything about Vasily Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez? Have you heard those names at all?
No, I think my extent of boxing knowledge is just the like 3 names I know, and I'm like kind of all in on those 3 guys.
And what those 3 names? Ryan Garcia. Who else? Tyson Fury,
Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury. Probably.
All right, so I would suggest going to YouTube. There's highlights of Vasily Lomachenko. There's highlights of Teofimo Lopez. And I would say, Teofimo Lopez, Paul, he's a young guy too. Ryan Garcia is what?
22, bro.
Yeah, he's only 22. Yeah, he's maybe 2 or 3 years older than Ryan Garcia. So Lopez, he's got a lot of power, knockout puncher. I don't know. Would you consider this a little bit too much for him to chew with Vasily Lomachenko coming up in September?
Yeah, man, this is too much for that young man right now. But I think he's kind of taking that Canelo approach. He's like, I'm gonna go get in the ring with a legend early, probably take an L, and I'll be better for it in the future. And I think this is just more exposure for him. The casual boxing fan may not know Teofimo Lopez, but guys like you and I, Chris, we're up to speed on that in the boxing world. And we all know that Lomachenko is just an absolute vicious boxer. But I think that's just due to the fact that, people don't know this. His dad made him take ballet when he was young so that he would have great feet. And I know a lot of the boxing analysts, they watch his footwork and they say he moves like a dancer. Well, there you go. I think his dad was prepping him for this type of run, and the knockout power for the lightweight division that Lomachenko has in his hands, I think, is just tremendous. But, Lopez has that boxer's chance, man. All you can do is get caught. And if you can get caught the right way, the lights are out. So it's definitely going to be a great fight. You're definitely going to see the sweet science put on display. And I won't say it more than 2 times so that Zach doesn't get irritated with that. But I think the biggest thing for Teofimo Lopez is, man, just train to be confident in your ability, because I think that's the only thing that's going to, do him justice. And I think Vasily Lomachenko, man, it's just too much. And, maybe there's a date set in the future for Ryan Garcia, but I don't know. I think that's too much for Ryan right now. And I think the other thing, too, is you have to remember their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Teofimo Lopez is just 22 years old, and we think of 22 as like, yeah, he's in his prime. And it's like, man, maybe. But, once you get to 30 and a little bit over 30, you start getting that grown man strength a little bit. And, Lomachenko's 32, and so you're going to couple, his early training in his youth. You're going to put in his experience as a amateur, and then his experience as a professional with a little bit more power, and that's a dangerous combination for any opponent.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad you brought that up. Lomachenko's dad taking him out of boxing and putting him in dance for 4 years, because that's where I think Lomachenko has an edge, has a big edge over Lopez, is moving around, making the opponent kind of guess where he's going to be, because Lomachenko will just he can be in front of you, but not be in front of you at the same time.
Creating angles, bro.
And that's the thing, and I think Lopez, he's got the power, I believe, to match with Lomachenko. I just don't know. His style is, what were they calling it? Catch and shoot. He likes to try to. He's the counter puncher, and he tries to also be a little bit like Mayweather. He's got that left hand down.
Right.
That's just not a good strategy against a boxer. Like Lomachenko. It's like I just don't see that Lopez has the quickness to be like Mayweather, to be able to, to dodge and get out of the way of those just, tremendous jabs and straight lefts that Lomachenko likes to throw. So it's going to be a fun fight. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Zach, I would really recommend, checking out some highlights of Lomachenko, highlights of Teofimo Lopez. And I think, I think, it's going to be, it'll be a really good one. Hopefully it'll get put on in September. I know the big thing right now is that Lomachenko is in Ukraine, in his home country. And, with the travel bans and all that, they weren't sure if he was going to be able to get over here into the United States to get this fight to happen. But Bob Arum of Top Rank said, no, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. All right. Recon Athlete, episode 80, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucero. Shout out to everybody on the watch party. Next topic, college football. No fans, gonna lose a lot of money. I know Ohio State is already trying to conceptualize some models, Paul, where they could allow 20,000 fans in their 100,000 capacity stadium. I'm not sure if that could happen, but college football could lose up to $4 billion, from my understanding, Paul.
That's the reports that are coming out of ESPN, and I think a lot of it has to do with not only ticket sales but merchandise, concession, all of those different factors are going to be coupled with just the loss of fans in the stands, and if it's a loss for the university, okay, so what? It's a public institution. I think for the smaller schools, like the Eastern Carolinas, they're having to drop their swim team and I believe their soccer team because they're not going to have the revenue. And I think the smaller schools are going to lose in this situation. But, if the models want to come out of Ohio State of let's just say it's 20%, 20% of your capacity is going to be allowed in the stadium. Yeah, that'll be great. But, we've talked about this before. How do you select them? How do you monitor them? How do you control? What's the risk mitigation that's been put in place to keep everybody healthy and safe? And those are the hard questions. But I'm going to leave that to the experts. But I know that Governor Abbott's come out publicly and he said that we're on schedule to have college football with fans in stadiums. And I'm like, okay, well, he didn't say how many fans. He just said fans. And so if it's going to be 10% of capacity, 20% of capacity, maybe we can get that at the high school level, and that kind of ties into UIL bringing down guidelines as well. And so there's going to be constant communication, but for $4 billion for a multi-billion-dollar organization that gets free players, I'm not really concerned about it. But when you see that billion-dollar number out there, you start thinking to yourself, man, I'm sure glad the NCAA allowed these players to make some money off their name and likeness, because wherever that $4 billion was going, it wasn't going to any of the players. I know that much.
That's for sure. That is for sure. So, I don't know. It's this is another one of those things where, I'm over here, as a fan, I'm like, man, I'd love to see college football. Not sure I'd go. I know we've had this discussion. We had this discussion, a long time ago between the three of us, and Paul, you're down to go to a game. I think I'm kind of on the fence a little bit. I think I would go, pretty sure, depending on what the what's happening at the time. I know Zach is a little bit more cautious and wants to kind of see what happens to everybody else first. Is that still the approach for you, Zach?
Yeah, and I think honestly one of the biggest things for me is like I don't want to have to wear a mask. So
Okay.
If waiting to see what happens to everyone else and everyone else is okay, maybe that mask thing kind of goes away, and I think that's one of my main factors as well.
Yeah. I mean, are you wearing a mask when you go out now, or are you still not going out at all like you claim to be?
Yeah, I'm not going out. I went to the office yesterday to pick up something from my that I left in my desk, and I wore a mask when I was in the building, but I only did that because they're like, we have to, like it's a rule.
Mm-hmm.
But anywhere that like I don't have to go, or if I do go, anywhere that the mask is optional, like I'm not wearing one.
Now, you're not wearing the mask because you just don't think they work, or are you like the president? You don't want people to see you with a mask on, or what's going on?
I don't think it's inconvenient.
Okay. Fair enough. I think this is the first time I think Zach and Paul might be lined up with something here. Right, Paul?
Listen, I'm down to follow rules. I'm not down to do something when I'm told by a bureaucracy. Let's just put it that way. And I am with Zach. It's more of just a personal preference. Like, I don't want to wear a mask. Will I? Yes. Do I want to? No. And I think it's just an inconvenience, like Zach said, and and I think the other thing too that kind of lingers in my brain a little bit is that there's been so much flip-flopping about does it work, does it not work, and this is by the CDC, and I'm like, well, who knows? And I don't know, and I'm not sick, and I don't. Nobody in my circle is sick, and it's one of those things where I want to be sensible, and my sense is that if I'm wearing a mask because I'm asked to by a private company, like, let's say I want to go to H-E-B and they say, we're asking you to wear a mask. Okay, I'm going to wear a mask. But if, I'm going to go to a park and my municipality says you must wear a mask, I'm probably not going to go to the park because I don't want to do that.
I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry. I thought this was America.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about, right? I mean,
yeah.
So it kind of depends. So with Paul, it depends on who's telling you. If it's the government telling you, you're might be apt to, I mean, I don't know. Like, do you get a if it's a choice from what I'm hearing from Zach, if it's a choice of whether or not to wear a mask, Zach, you're say, hey, if somebody says, hey, you can come here, you can wear a mask if you want. You're probably not going to, right, Zach?
I think it's more of like, if it's somewhere I don't have to go,
okay,
then I'd rather not go.
Right. Okay. All right. I feel you. And I don't know how we got into the mask discussion from college football losing money, but I don't know. College football is going to lose money.
So what?
Yeah, right.
So what?
And on the watch party, Snoop Daniel is asking if we've talked Zoom dates yet. So let's go ahead and make that transition.
Yeah.
I don't know why, Zach. I mean, you put it in our messenger, and I think it was just a joke.
It was just a joke.
And I picked that up and ran with it.
But Paul put it on there. He was like, "Let's talk Zoom dates." And
I think Paul should lead the conversation.
Yeah, Paul. What do you think? I'm gonna. Have you been on a Zoom date, Paul? If not, would you go on a Zoom date?
I have not, and yes, I would, because this is the first. This is the first gen, bro. This is the first gen to Demolition Man when they have meetings about
Yeah.
doing whatever, and then I think this was like the first generation of like when they put on the headsets and Sandra Bullock's character and Sylvester Stallone's character, they do the hanky panky, but virtually. Virtually. And so I'm like, yeah, this is like the first step. And then, after he goes back to his little habitation, he gets a phone call, like a Zoom call. And there's a woman with a towel on. And so I was like, that's the first thing I thought of when I heard that Zoom date that, our good buddy was on the other day. And I'm not going to name names, but it was just really interesting. I was like, this is the first generation of Demolition Man. This is like, are we in a simulation where we're getting prepped for, like, movies are prepping us for the future, and like this is how it's going to be? Maybe
that's
Yeah.
I mean, haven't you talked to? Are you the one that's talked about that before, Paul? We've had just conversations. I don't know. Somebody I talked to was like,
it was
you. Yeah, it was you. We're zombie movies and futuristic movies is just getting us ready and getting us conditioned, for these, for how this new world order is going to be. But I don't know, Zach, you're a taken man. You don't really have to worry about Zoom dates, but if you weren't a taken man, would you do the Zoom date thing? I mean, I would assume you would, as being, being a millennial.
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
Really?
No, that's so dumb. No, I'll just wait.
You just wait?
Yeah.
All right.
He's gonna be waiting forever. He's gonna be waiting for a while.
What's the difference between like texting and talking and then doing a Zoom date? I mean, pretty much the same thing, right?
What's the difference between FaceTime, right?
Yeah, FaceTime.
I don't even like the FaceTime.
I don't believe this.
Zach, are you secretly an old man?
I guess maybe I'm just an old soul.
You're old soul. I don't know. I mean, our buddy that was on the Zoom date, it was like a 4-hour thing, 4-hour date, and I was told it was a good time. I was like, okay, cool. I'm glad that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you, Paul. I mean, like, it could be the glimpse into the future of how courtship is going to happen. I don't know. I'm not I wouldn't be.
Would you go on one, Chris?
No, I'd have to say.
Because you're an old man.
Because I'm an old man. Yeah, I just.
Okay.
I don't think I'm not. I'm, and that's why I don't do that's why I don't do any of the dating apps either. I don't do any of that. I'm not good. I guess communicating virtually. I have to be there with somebody. I don't know. It just seems fake to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem organic. I feel like you can be a different person. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's just not my bag. But also on the other side of the coin, maybe if I try it, it wouldn't be so bad, cause it's one of those things. I mean, I've never done it before. So, I mean, what if I, try it and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was pretty cool. Yeah. That wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, so I don't want to say that I would never do it, but, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I would have to say no right now. All right. Recon Athlete episode 80, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Lucero, other topics as assigned. Zach, you got anything for us today?
Not today.
No, why not?
It's the weekend.
Oh yeah, what you gonna do this weekend? It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, it's a 3-day weekend, man. I gotta go celebrate.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Do nothing.
Why don't you ever want to tell us, man? Are you afraid that we're gonna ask for an invite?
Man, probably.
Dang, bro. Dang, that's messed up. Paul already invited us somewhere? Or did he invite you?
Yeah, he invited me. I
Oh,
probably got the invite first.
probably did. That's all right. And Paul, you ready? You ready for everything? I mean, I don't know. Did you see the forecast though? Did you see the forecast though?
Hey man, if you can't make it, I totally understand. I
I
just
want to
want to
make
put
it.
it out there. I'm just saying, I'm not, bro. I've grilled in cold, rainy weather. I've grilled in hot, sticky weather. I've grilled in all kinds of weather. I'm not afraid of a little precipitation.
So you're all weather griller.
I'm not about it.
All right, fair enough. What time? What time?
Noonish,
Noonish?
whenever you want to come through. I mean, I'm gonna be having the queso ready probably about 12 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm putting on the riblets on about 12:30. Fajitas going on about 1. And I got fully stocked adult beverages, virgin beverages, water if that's your fancy. So,
Okay.
for a recon athlete, I told old Snoop Daniel. So we'll see what happens.
Mm. Should we do like a Recon Athlete Memorial Day show?
It's kind of what I'm trying to put together, but I don't know who's coming through. But I just wanted to make it a surprise, but Chris ruined it.
All right. Do you have a table that we can use?
Yeah, actually I do.
Okay. All right, we'll see. I need to get Snoop says yes. I need to get that carrying case.
I've been telling you for that for 3 months.
Roadcaster. I know, bro, but you know me, dude. I just forget things.
I know you don't listen to nobody.
I mean,
except your mom. You listen to your parents.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Send it to me again. I'll order it. How much was it?
No, you won't.
Yes, I will. I'll order it today.
It's like $70.
That's it.
Chris. Yes, that's it. Probably. I have to look again. Who knows? There may have been a price bump with a pandemic.
All right, send it in. So Snoop Daniel says yes. He's down for the Monday show. I know. We'll talk about something. Maybe we'll do you know what we can do? Maybe we can try to do like a food taste testing, or or maybe we can, if Zach goes, maybe he can make a burger or something like that, and then Snoop can make one. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Zach, what are you doing? Are you gonna try to make it, or you got plans already?
I think I already had something going on Memorial Day, but if the weather doesn't allow it, then I'll go. I'd rather go over there.
All right, man. Cool. All right, word up. Well, just want to shout out, of course, Kreitz Market, our feature sponsor, also the Social and Focus Fit San Marcos. I want to shout out everybody that was on the watch party. Shout out to Snoop Daniel. Shout out to Melanie. See Stuart Newton. Coach Gutman was on here. Howard Gutman. Shout out to Stephanie. Who else is on here? Zach. Coach Keller was on there. Craig Way. Let's see. Brian Pendleton. Icon Life. And Leonard Davila. So shout out to everybody that's joining us this Saturday morning. Shout outs. You want to shout out anybody, Zach?
Shout out myself.
Word up. Paul?
No shout outs, but I got a PSA. Everybody's starting to go out now. Some establishments, 25% capacity. Please be safe on the road. Do not drink and drive. Call Uber, call Lyft, call rideshare, call somebody. Do not drink and drive. I just want to put that out there. But yes, positive vibes. Love you guys. Thank you. Shout out to both of y'all. Shout out to Snoop Daniel. Everybody, please be safe on the road.
All right, yeah. Shout out to God. Shout out to my parents down in Buda, Texas. Mr. Paul Rodriguez, do your thing, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Everybody on YouTube, hit the bell. We'll let you know when we upload. We gone.
I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry. I thought this was America.